You know that feeling when you hear an idea that just sort of shifts your whole perspective on what could be possible? That's what we're diving into today. We're going really deep on a concept that's pretty radical, kind of reimagines cosmic power. We're talking beyond solar, way beyond.
Yeah, today we're looking at this really fascinating theoretical idea called the Dyson Egg. It takes the Dyson sphere concept, which many people know,
Right.
and just ramps it up to a completely different level.
Okay, so the Dyson sphere. Most of us picture this, huge structure around a star grabbing all its energy. Freeman Dyson's idea from 1960.
Exactly.
But the Dyson egg swaps the star for a black hole, which sounds pretty extreme.
It does, but the thinking behind it is actually about efficiency. Black holes, surprisingly, can be incredibly potent energy sources. Thorne pointed this out back in '74.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How, you mean tapping the black hole itself?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Things like the Penrose process, the Blandford-Znajek mechanism, these are theoretical ways to extract energy directly from the black hole's rotation.
Okay, hold on. Extracting rotational energy. That sounds like science fiction. And Thorne thought this could be, 42% efficient?
Potentially, yes. Up to 42%.
Wow. I mean, compare that to fusion in a star,
Yeah.
where even a perfect Dyson sphere captures maybe, less than 1% of the total energy converted from mass? This is, a total game changer, theoretically.
Precisely. Nuclear fusion is powerful, sure, but harnessing a black hole spin theoretically dwarfs it in terms of energy extraction efficiency. So yeah, you move from the star to its, let's say, sinister cousin.
Okay, but the immediate question is just how? How would you even think about building something around a black hole? Isn't that like trying to build a house inside a hurricane?
Well, it's definitely an immense engineering challenge, maybe the ultimate one, but it's important to remember you wouldn't build right on the event horizon or anything.
Okay.
The structure would need to be at a safe distance, maybe millions of kilometers away.
Millions of kilometers. Still pretty close in cosmic terms, and gravity's doing weird stuff out there, right? So what does it look like? Not a solid shell, surely.
Probably not a solid shell, no. A more plausible idea is something called a Dyson swarm.
A swarm, like lots of smaller things.
Exactly. A huge network of individual satellites or collectors all orbiting the black hole together, like a coordinated cloud.
Okay. A swarm of energy collectors. Makes more sense. What are they collecting then? What energy sources are there around a black hole?
Well, there are a few theoretical options. One is Hawking radiation. You know, the faint heat black holes are thought to emit.
Right. Hawking radiation. Very faint for big ones, though.
Very faint for stellar mass or supermassive ones, yes, but it's there. Then, a major source is the accretion disk.
Ah, yes, the swirling disk of doom.
Pretty much. Matter spiraling in, it gets superheated, forms this incredibly hot plasma, and that radiates intensely. X-rays, gamma rays, just huge amounts of energy.
Yeah.
And then you also have relativistic jets, these powerful beams of particles shooting out from the poles of some black holes near light speed.
Accretion disks. Yeah, incredibly violent. People have actually researched how to tap into that.
They have. Komissarov and Barkov, back in 2009, looked into using electromagnetic tethers, basically manipulating the magnetic fields in the disk to draw energy off.
Electromagnetic tethers.
Yeah, you could almost picture them like these advanced superconductor tethers acting like cosmic fishing nets, dipping into the disk or maybe catching bursts from the jets.
Cosmic fishing nets.
Yeah.
I like that. It gives you a sense of the sheer scale. Okay, so this is fundamentally different from a star-based Dyson sphere. Can we, compare them side by side? Sphere versus egg?
Sure. So the Dyson sphere, its main source is fusion radiation from the star, relatively steady, predictable efficiency. Low, less than 1% of mass energy. Materials needed are immense, but maybe achievable. Things stable around a star. Risks are, solar flares, maybe structural stress.
Pretty standard cosmic engineering problems, relatively speaking. And the egg?
The egg is, well, it's a whole different ballgame. Energy sources are Hawking radiation, the accretion disk, the jets, much more dynamic, much more extreme. But the potential efficiency, especially from rotation, is way higher, up to 42%.
But the challenges?
Exactly. The materials would need to be unbelievably strong, dealing with insane gravity and radiation. Gravitational precision needed would be mind-boggling. And the risks, spaghettification if you get too close, lethal radiation levels, maybe even destabilizing the black hole itself. That's very speculative.
Right, spaghettification. Not a good way to go. So this isn't a starter project for a young civilization then. Where does this put you on the Kardashev scale?
Oh, this is firmly Type 2 plus maybe even Type 3
So
territories.
harnessing entire star systems or even galaxies.
Yeah, civilizations that can manipulate energy on that kind of scale. We're talking mastery over physics we barely understand now. Kardashev laid out that scale back in '64, linking energy use to advancement.
Type 3, manipulating space-time itself, maybe. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do you actually pull the energy out? You mentioned 3 ways. Let's start with that accretion disk, the radioactive tornado.
Right. So collecting from the accretion disk. The basic idea is positioning collectors in or around that incredibly hot, fast-moving plasma.
Like solar panels from hell.
Kind of, yeah. Super advanced, incredibly tough collectors designed to absorb those X-rays and gamma rays.
Yeah.
Then you'd need to convert that energy and somehow beam it away safely. Maybe lasers, maybe microwaves. It's like trying to harness the most chaotic energy source imaginable.
Okay, incredibly difficult. What about Hawking radiation? You said it's faint for big black holes. Is it even worth it?
For large ones, probably not as a primary source. But Hawking's theory from '74 also suggests smaller micro black holes would radiate much more intensely.
Grow black holes.
Yeah. So the really wild idea here is, could you create or capture and then stabilize a micro black hole? If you could, it might theoretically provide a steady power output via its evaporation.
Create and stabilize a micro black hole. Okay, my brain hurts a little. That's deep future stuff. What about the third way? Getting energy from the spin, Penrose, and Blanford's Nyjek.
Right. So rotating black holes drag space-time around with them in a region called the ergosphere.
The ergosphere, okay.
The Penrose process basically involves throwing something into the ergosphere, letting it split, and one piece falls in while the other escapes with more energy than the original object had. The extra energy comes from the black hole's rotation.
You steal energy from the spin itself.
Effectively, yes. And the Blanford's Nyjek process is more about magnetic fields. If the black hole has a strong magnetic field, its rotation twists and energizes those fields, launching the jets and carrying rotational energy away. Satellites could potentially tap into those electromagnetic effects.
It's incredible that these processes are even theoretically possible. But let's bring it back to reality, or as close as we can get. The hurdles to actually building a Dyson egg must be just astronomical.
Oh, absolutely. Almost beyond comprehension right now. First, materials science. You need stuff strong enough to resist those insane tidal forces near a black hole. Stuff that won't just get ripped apart.
Unobtainium, basically.
Pretty much. Then, computation. Imagine coordinating a swarm of millions, maybe billions of collectors in real time, constantly adjusting orbits in that complex gravitational field. You'd need AI trillions of times more powerful than anything today.
Yeah, the orbital mechanics alone. What happens if one little satellite collector fails? Sending out a repair bot seems unlikely.
Exactly. And radiation shielding. The environment near a black hole, especially one with an active accretion disk, is bathed in lethal radiation. Anything there, robotic or otherwise, needs incredible protection.
It really highlights how far this is beyond us. You mentioned earlier that even thinking about this stuff can spark other ideas, like that black hole drive.
Right, yeah. Lewis Crane's idea from 2009, he proposed using a controlled micro black hole for spacecraft propulsion.
How would that work?
Basically, you'd manage its Hawking radiation evaporation rate very carefully. That evaporation creates thrust. It's highly speculative, of course, but it shows how exploring these extreme physics concepts can lead to, unexpected technological ideas.
So, the Dyson Egg. It's more than just a cool sci-fi name. It's grounded in some really deep, though obviously theoretical, physics about energy and black holes. And the egg part, that metaphor, feels quite potent.
It does, doesn't it? The egg as a symbol of containment, potential, holding this immense, almost infinite energy source inside, a sort of cosmic incubator.
A birthplace for cosmic energy, enclosed by something artificial. It almost feels, I don't know, philosophical. Building something on that scale, or on one of the universe's biggest mysteries. The idea that maybe, way down the line, our descendants or some other civilization might actually crack the egg to power, well, everything. It's just staggering to think about.
It really pushes you to consider the ultimate limits of technology, of what life in the universe could achieve.
So wrapping up this deep dive, what's the main thing you think people should take away from this idea of the Dyson Egg?
For me, I think it's the sheer audacity of the concept, the scale of the ambition. It forces us to question what we think is possible and maybe dream a little bigger about the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you wonder, should humanity or any species even dare to try and harness forces like black holes? Could this be the ultimate energy source, or is it just going too far?
Big questions.
Definitely big questions. What do you think? Where does this kind of cosmic ambition lead? We'd love for you to chew on that. Maybe thinking about these far-out ideas gives us a different lens on our own path, here and now, and the kind of energy future we want to build.